absolutely mind-blowing release to break down right now. We are diving into a massive, highly anticipated data dump that was literally just unsealed by the U.S. Department of War. For decades, the public has endlessly speculated about what the government actually knows about unidentified flying objects. Well, it looks like the wait for at least some of those answers is over. We're going to visually walk through exactly what's hiding inside these documents, step by step.
Which immediately brings us to the core mystery we're tackling today. Are we alone, or is this whole thing just a massive political distraction? The timing of this sudden release of heavily classified UFO files is just incredibly fascinating. I mean, dropping this right in the middle of major global crises, it fundamentally impacts how we're all looking at global security right now. As we go through this evidence together, I want you to keep this question in the back of your mind. Is this radical honesty or strategic misdirection?
All right, let's start with the hard numbers. 161. That is the exact number of highly classified files that just got dumped straight onto the internet. According to the source material, this is officially classified as release number 1. That means right now, anyone can go online, click into the official directory, and open up 161 distinct reports, images, and transcripts that were completely locked away from public eyes until today.
So why is the government suddenly doing this? Well, their officially stated reason is a historical transparency effort. According to the source, the Department of War, led by Pete Hegseth under the Trump administration, claims this huge data dump is simply them fulfilling a promise of pure transparency. The message they are broadcasting to the public is pretty clear. We're opening the books, and we are letting you decide for yourselves.
But here's where things get incredibly serious. We're not talking about a collection of blurry amateur photographs here. We are looking at meticulous records that have been cross-examined and tagged by the absolute highest tiers of intelligence: NASA, the FBI, national intelligence agencies. When you open up one of these files, it actually lists which of these top-tier agencies reviewed it to figure out if it was foreign technology or something, well, entirely unexplainable.
Moving into Section 1, Secrets of the Apollo Missions.
Some of the absolute wildest revelations in this release didn't even happen on Earth. Take a look at this unsealed live transmission. Many glowing things outside my window. Looks like fireworks. Guys, this isn't from a sci-fi movie script. According to the unsealed files from NASA's Apollo 12 and 17 missions, astronauts officially reported seeing 3 distinct glowing dots and cylindrical pieces passing right by their windows out in the total vacuum of space.
And just to build on that a bit, the source details that these astronauts weren't just seeing random flashes of light. They were officially documenting unidentified flying objects hovering directly near the lunar surface. Just put yourself in their shoes for a second. You're tasked with the most rigorous scientific mission in human history, and you have to call back to Earth to say there are glowing, cylindrical objects flying alongside your spacecraft near the moon. It totally shifts our understanding of what was actually encountered during the space race.
All right, bringing it to Section 2, the 1999 fighter jet encounter.
Let's bring our focus back down into our own atmosphere. 20 seconds. Now that might not sound like a long time to us, but in aerial combat, that is an absolute eternity. And that's exactly how long a military fighter jet locked its targeting weapons onto a mysterious, super-fast, glowing object over the Gulf of Oman. The files released by the FBI show the pilot literally had this thing locked in their sights, ready to engage, and then it just instantaneously vanished from the tracking cameras. It was there, it was targeted, and then, impossibly, it was just gone.
Let's pivot to Section 3, Shapes of the Unknown.
What's really fascinating here is that this evidence moves us way beyond the classic flying saucer stereotype into some truly bizarre territory. The details really matter, and the files describe an object shaped like an 8-pointed star with edges that appear to actively extend outward. Even crazier, there are documents detailing massive cylindrical objects recorded hovering incredibly close to wind turbines. The source actually notes the footage makes it look almost as though these unidentified anomalies were deliberately inspecting human energy infrastructure. How wild is that?
And the sheer scale of these things? It's staggering. We're looking at dimensions of 130 to 195 feet long. That is the massive size of a bright, cylindrical object spotted flying dangerously close to Earth just recently, in 2023. To put that into perspective, we are talking about objects the size of commercial airliners, radiating bright light, moving through our skies with total impunity, all while actively being tracked by military hardware.
So clearly, we're not dealing with an isolated event here. When you trace the timeline in these files, it's a continuous chain. We go from those Apollo-era observations on the lunar surface, down to the 1999 Gulf of Oman fighter jet lock-on,
forward to the massive 2023 cylinder, all the way up to 2024, where the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command tracked yet another unidentified anomalous phenomenon. This continuous data proves that whatever these objects are, they've been a persistent presence in our skies for decades.
Which leads us to Section 4, transparency or political distraction.
Because really, the absolutely crucial question we have to ask is, why release all this incredibly sensitive data right now? It's a tale of two perspectives. On side A, you have the government's official stance declaring radical honesty and fulfilling campaign promises to stop hiding things from the public. But on side B, you have deep, calculated public skepticism. A lot of people are looking at this incredible dump of alien files and asking if it's actually just a massive smokescreen designed to pull the public's eyes away from much more immediate terrestrial problems.
To really understand that skepticism, we have to zoom out and look at the global context. The source points heavily to the Strait of Hormuz crisis. Right now, the world is practically holding its breath over incredibly complex tensions involving the US, Iran, and the global supply of oil. The public is desperately seeking a solution to this severe economic and geopolitical threat, because let's be real, instability there directly impacts everyday costs and international security for every single one of us.
So looking at this impartially, we have to ask the hard question. Is this a calculated distraction? Is the unsealing of these UFO files a genuine, historically significant moment of disclosure? Or is it just a highly effective mechanism to divert public attention and media headlines away from urgent geopolitical realities, like the Strait of Hormuz, where actual solutions seem totally non-existent? It's a huge debate, and it is raging right alongside the analysis of the files themselves.
And finally, Section 5, what remains hidden.
Because as massive as release number 1 is, the Pentagon has absolutely not released everything. Actually, this partial data dump has kind of just poured gasoline on the fire, fueling the public's demand for even more transparency across the board. I want to leave you with this provocative thought straight from the source material. If the government is suddenly completely willing to unseal its most closely guarded mysteries regarding aliens and UFOs, what other dark, closely held secrets is the public going to demand next? As the source points out, with the alien files wide open, many people are immediately pivoting and asking, well, what about the Epstein files? If this era of historical transparency has truly begun, where exactly does it end? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it helped bring some real